welcome back. It's so good to see you. So today we are just gonna have a story time. I don't have any script. I don't have any notes. I got nothing. But I was just at the grocery store with my husband. It was HEB. It's a grocery store in Texas, and they had these little guides, like it's almost like a newspaper type area in the front of the store. And I saw this and I was like, ooh, what is this? And I was like, oh, I can make a video like reading this. It's the 2023 hurricane preparation guide. And I was like, yeah, I can bore people to sleep with that, no problem. It's got like a checklist and tips, all kinds of things. It even has a little map on the back. It tells you the hurricane names, all that stuff. So I was going to do that. And if you want me to, I will. I can save it. It looks pretty boring. So I'm sure it'll put you to sleep real well. But I started thinking about it. And I was like, you know what? No, I want to do a story time. I haven't done a story time, like a legit story time video in a long time, So I was like, let me just do a hurricane story time, because I have been affected by 2 hurricanes. I'm sure there were more hurricanes that happened in my life that affected people in this area, but I have no memory of them. I only have memories of 2 hurricanes. So I thought, I don't know, we could just talk about that. Just something different, I always like doing story times, but I can never think of things to talk about, So if you enjoy story times and you want more of them, put some subjects or whatever. You can message me on Instagram if you want, or just put it in the comments below, and maybe I can do more. I don't know. But today's story time is going to be hurricanes. So, and I don't know the name of the first hurricane because I didn't feel like looking it up. I don't know. But it happened, I think, around like 2008, I think. Because it was like, I don't know, I want to say it was right after my husband moved in with me. I lived with my parents on their property, but they had made a garage apartment. So I was in there and went to college and stuff like that. And after me and my boyfriend at the time were dating for a while, we were going to get an apartment. And my mom was like, no, I don't want you to do that because it's really hard. Stuff's expensive. Just have him move into the apartment, So it was during that first year that we lived in the apartment. And before I get into that story, let me tell you about, I think it was the first time that I met my husband, his family. So I go over to his house and I'm like, oh my God, because compared to where I was living, which is basically like where I'm living now, in the Woodlands, where it's like there's stores everywhere and everything's within a 4-mile radius. He lives not that far, like 20 minutes away, or lived, and but they're out in the country, there's they still had dial-up internet, they had big properties, his parents live on a big I think it's more than 10 acres, something like that. And so I had to drive down these long country roads and stuff. And I finally get to their house, and I'm like, whoa, this is real country, because there were trees everywhere and just grass. There was no concrete anywhere. Okay. And I don't know, it looked like a really cute country style house, and they built it themselves, and I don't know, but I noticed that there was this big fence, and when I pulled up I was like, oh my God, because he had a bull and a cow, and I was like, whoa, this is legit country, because I had never seen a real cow before in my whole life. like never. And I was like, what? I was like, okay, I need to go over there and look at that, you know. So after I met everybody, you know, he took me around, showed me the property. They had like this trail and their own like lake or pond or whatever. And anyway, so we went over and I was like, I want to go talk to the cows, right? Or there was a bull and a cow. I don't remember the bull's name. He had a name, I just don't remember. But the cow, I absolutely loved her. I loved her. Okay, her name was Reese, and I love Reese Witherspoon. So like when I found out her name was Reese, I was like, oh my god, instant love connection, right? And so I would always, every time I would go over there, I would always go talk to them, like, because I've always been like, animals are people too, you know. So like I loved them, and I especially loved Reese because she was just the best, and she was so nice and sweet, and I would have full conversations with her, you know, and I would give her pets and like treats and stuff. She was just the best. Well, anyway, so like a couple months go by, and I pull up and the gate is gone, and like I'm like, what? Where are they? Did you like take them to the vet or something, or like did you move them to the back of the, like, where are they? And my husband's like, oh, they're in the freezer. And I'm a vegetarian, okay? So this was extra like, but I was like, what? And he's like, well, yeah, that's what we had them for. My dad took them to the butcher and they're in the freezer. I was not okay with this because I was fully in love, especially with Reese. And the fact that Reese didn't go anywhere, she was here, but she was in the freezer. I was not okay with this, okay? I'm still not okay with it. I am affected to this day. I think about Reese all the time, okay? Sorry, I almost cussed and I'm trying not to. But I'm like, I cannot believe that they were your pets. You petted them. We fed them treats together and had conversations, and like, how could you do it? You know, this was country life just thrown in my face. I was just like, no. I'm still affected to this freaking day. Anyway, I like randomly just throw Reese in my husband's face. Like, how could you do that? Anyway, so my husband moves in, and I don't know, we're living there for like a couple months, you know, just going to school, all that. And I think it was like in November. I think it was in November. I was working at Target. He had got another job. He left Target, and I think he worked at like a mechanic place or something. I don't know. It was just something to do, you know, when he was in college or whatever, to make money. And anyway, so I was working at Target at the time, and this hurricane like happens, you know, and I don't know what the hurricane's name is. It doesn't matter. But it affected us. Like, the electricity was out for an entire week, you know, and my mom, she had a generator. So at night, she would hook the generator up to her house to, you know, like, have lights on and take a shower, because we had a well. So you need electricity to click the thing on to make water happen, you know. So she would turn it on at night, so we could, you know, take showers and have some type of cooling down, and I don't know. Anyway, so the first night, my dad tried to run an extension cord from the generator into the apartment so that we could have water and lights and stuff too. And it just didn't work or something. I don't know. I was like, this ain't working. We just need to move into the house, you know. So yeah, it had to have been after November or something, because it was after my brother died. Because when we moved into the house temporarily, we stayed in my brother's room. And now I'm sad. But so we packed our bags. I mean, we weren't going that far. We were going from the garage apartment to the house. No big deal. So we packed some stuff and brought it inside. Got blankets and pillows and everything like that. And I was like, we're just gonna stay in here. You know, no big deal. So we stayed in there for like a week, and then the electricity came back on. And we go back into I was like, all right, let's move back into the apartment. So we go back into the apartment, and I'm just like, what in the hell? It smelled like somebody got murdered in there. Like some animal just crawled in there during the hurricane and like died. That's what it smelled like. I was like, what is going on? And then I remembered something. My husband had brought some of Reese home. I told him no, because I didn't want her in my house like that. I didn't want that to happen. And his parents were like, come on, take some burgers or whatever, you know, because my husband at the time, he ate meat and red meat and stuff like that. And I was just like, I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't want to see it. I don't want nothing to do with it. You got to cook it when I'm not around. And I was just not about that. Well, during the hurricane, we had forgotten that Reese was in the freezer. And she got her ultimate revenge on my husband. And apparently me, because I didn't protect her. So Reese was just rotting in our apartment for an entire week. It was so bad. It was so bad. Like, we couldn't get the smell out. Oh, I tried airing it with fans and like spray, and I cleaned the entire refrigerator out, the freezer, like everything gone. I cleaned that apartment from top to bottom thoroughly, and I am a germaphobe, so I clean thoroughly anyway, but I was like extra cleany because of this. And I was just like so pissed. I was like, I told you not to do this to my husband. You know, I was like, I told you not to do this. Look at this, you know. And she got her ultimate revenge. Like, you will never eat me. Good for you, Reese. Good for you. But also, it sucked for me because, you know, we could not live in the apartment. We couldn't live in the apartment, so we had to pack up all our stuff and move into my brother's room for like a month, maybe 2. And every like other week, my husband was like, "You think we can go in there?" You know, I was like, "I'm not going in there. I'm not going in there." Because every time I went in there, I thought about Reese, you know, and it was just like made me sad. And I was just like, no. Eventually, we did move back into the apartment. It took some time because it took a long time to get the smell of that out of the apartment. A long time. And I still smelled it, even though it was technically gone. It was like, I could smell it in my soul, which was like, oh, it was awful. But during that week, I didn't have to go to work, which was great. My husband did. He had to go to work, but like school was canceled, no work. It was awesome. I was kind of like on a little vacation, just a very hot vacation because we were in Texas. But I tried to go to work, and they I think they did like this robot call thing once the phone lines were up again and stuff, you know, and it said the store was ruined during the hurricane. The roof had caved in and collapsed, and I'm like, oh my god, what? So it said that like in a week, everyone needs to report to either the store that's like in Conroe or the store that's in Spring, because I worked at the store in the Woodlands, and just report there, and then we'll figure it out, you know. So I'm like, what in the hell? So I go to work in spring. It was like a super Target at the time, which my Target at that time was not a super Target, but it is now. Anyway, so they had a whole, like a full, it was like a Walmart, It's still not like that in the Woodlands. It's like a little mini, but it was like a Walmart where it's like this half of the store is all electronics and clothes and like outdoor stuff, and this half is a grocery store. It was actually a pretty cool freaking Target. I was like, what? But at the time, I wasn't like an actual like sales associate or cashier or anything like that. I was a Target brand supervisor or something like that. I don't remember the exact title, but I know I was Target brand lead. That's what it was, because they don't use the word supervisor. They use the word lead, whatever that means. It's supervisor. Come on. Anyway, so what my whole job was I only did tables. I worked in soft lines, which is like clothes and stuff. And you know how they have those tables and like the little shelves everywhere around Target? Well, they're different now. Back in the day, they would have like these little strips like they have at Walmart, where you would have to put the strips where all the prices were, and then the tables have to be done, properly. And I was the lead because I was so good at folding. Now, I know that sounds stupid. Okay, folding, but they have these like little folding tables where you put the shirt down and you go like this and it folds it right. That thing don't fold it right. But I like when you get them out of the box, it's like factory style folded and they're perfect. I can fold clothes like that. And so they were like, you gotta be this person in this position because you know what to do. Like they would actually have me, whenever they would open new stores, they would have me go to the new stores and train the new people about how to do folding. Could anybody ever replicate what I did? No. And I'm not all like, I am so good at folding, but I mean, I was good enough to where they wanted me to go to other stores to train other people, and nobody could do it. No one could do it the way that I did it, so it was kind of pointless for me to do that anyway. But I was just really good at that, and like it's not just about folding, it has to do with like all the branding stuff and whatever. Anyway, so I did all that. Well, they already had a brand person because there was only one in each store, and they already had a brand person at the spring place. So they were like, well, since you're here, can you fix this store and also train these people? And like so I tried my best, and they didn't get it, so I would go there, I would do my job, which I can do it really, really fast, and I'm like, I'm bored. Well, nobody knows who I am. Nobody knows who I am. None of my people are actually there. I'm not on any type of schedule. Nothing. So I was just like, I'm just gonna leave. I was like, I'm done for the day, so I'm just gonna leave. So I did. I went and clocked out and left, and then I didn't feel like going home, so I just went to the movies and watched a movie. Like, every day. For a month. And nobody said anything. So, anyway, after a month, the store in the Woodlands, their roof gets redone, but everything in the store had to be removed because it's contaminated and like gross, so everybody who went to the Conroe store and the spring store or wherever, they would be going back to the Woodland store even though it wasn't open, and we had to basically build the store. It didn't matter what department you were in, you're building shelves. So every shelf that is in the Target store, I was there. I put those shelves together, like it was not cool. Not cool at all. But what was cool was there was like no customers, and it was like, yes, because I'm very like antisocial, which was good because of the brand, like the Target brand lead. You don't have to talk to people, you don't have to help customers, which was fantastic. But when the store was being rebuilt, there was nothing and nobody. It was fantastic. chaotic. And like you basically just got to hang out with like your fellow employees slash work friends, you know, and build stuff and talk just about random whatever. It was great. If that could be a job, just putting a store together, that would be great. I would totally do that. But anyway, and so then we finally got to open it up again. You know, this was like after 3 months or something. But then, like, I don't know, 5 years later, they redid the whole thing again, like section by section, so they didn't close the store or anything. Anyway, so that was a very crazy hurricane for me. Like the whole Reese situation, but also I got to go to the movies like every freaking day. Anyway, so that was that hurricane. And then the last hurricane that happened for us, we've actually had a very good year this year. We usually get hit with tropical storms and like hurricanes, but it doesn't hit very far into the woodlands, you know, like, I don't know. But so far this year, everything is like more Atlantic-y, less Gulfy, and you know what I mean? So far so good. Fingers crossed. But, and I don't remember the year of this last one. I remember the name, but not the year. But it was probably 2017, 2018, something like that, but it was Hurricane Harvey. Hurricane Harvey was the roughest hurricane like on record or something. Like, I don't know, like a storm like that hasn't hit this area in forever. Like, it's a every 500 year type hurricane or something like that. I don't know. There's like a 1 in 500 chance of a hurricane like that hitting every year. But like, it hasn't hit like that in probably over 100 years, maybe more. I don't know. But we're in a non-flood area. It's this house in the woodlands, non-flood area. Okay, the neighborhood behind us and beside us, they're like, the neighborhoods are like this, and then the ones back there and beside, their neighborhoods are like this. So they built this neighborhood up or something. I don't know. But they flood every time there's a hurricane. Every time. So it's like, don't ever buy houses here. Never. Okay? Like, how do those people just keep going through it and like redoing their houses? How does that work? Anyway, so Hurricane Harvey is coming. Okay? And we're like, it's not that big deal because we go through hurricanes all the time. No big deal. We get like one bad one, the electricity goes out for like a week. That happens like every, I don't know, 15 years or something. But this hurricane was like real bad. There was no rain or anything like that. It was just a lot of wind and stuff. But the neighborhood behind me, you can tell when it starts flooding because every year, if there's a hurricane, it'll flood and it'll come up this side road, like down the street. You can see the side road from my house, but it's so like, here's our road, and then this side road is like, it just goes down. So when it floods back there, it gets to a little bit on, you know, the main road of this neighborhood, but it doesn't do anything, you know, it doesn't like move up any further. Well, that year, it did. It started going up onto that. So I wish I could like describe it, but like, you have this road where theirs is like this, and then this road, and it's kind of high, like this is like a corner or something. So it's like, this is down and this is up. So it kind of like slowly started coming up this road, and like my house is over here, you know, and I was like, well, that's got to have a lot more water has got to come up before it even gets anywhere near my house. My husband's at work. I think I just got the kids home from school or something. I don't know, but I was making dinner and they wanted pizza. They were like little, so I made those little Totino's pizzas, you know, just simple. And I was gonna have dinner with my husband later, so the kids had been eating their little pizzas at the dining room, and I was just like looking outside like, I don't like how that water is happening, you know. And it started creeping up closer and closer, and I'm like, I don't like that. what's going on? So I took a picture. Ooh, I wonder if I still have pictures. If I do, I'll post them. But so I took a picture and I was like, this seems like it's getting closer to the stop sign, you know? And I was like, okay. So it kept going up, and it went up so much that like people were taking their little, I don't know what they're called, but they're like these little, they're almost like canoes, but they're fishing boats, whatever that is. They were bringing those and like coming up to the stop sign and just like looking around, and I'm like, ah. So I took a picture of that, showed it to my husband. I was like, maybe you should come home. I don't know. I feel like something's not, because this water keeps coming up and I don't like it. So maybe you should come home. And I sent him a picture, and so he sent the picture to his boss, and he was like, hey man, I think I should go home. So he comes home, and by the time he comes home, the water is at the end of the driveway in the street. And I'm like, I think something's happening. So like we gotta start moving stuff upstairs. Thank God that we had a 2-story house. Thank goodness. So we start moving stuff upstairs, you know, whatever we can think of, like furniture wise, the kids' stuff, all their toys. That was my main priority, all their toys. Did I think about any of my kitchen appliances that I have in other cabinets? Did I think about any of my pictures, Christmas decorations? Like, no. I just thought about, well, let's get all the kids' stuff upstairs. That should be good. I was in panic mode, okay, because the water was coming up, and then it rose up to my sidewalk in front of my house, and I'm like, this ain't good. This ain't good. So we're just like panicking, you know, and then I'm like, we gotta get out of here, you know. But I was like, no, it's not gonna raise up any further. It's not gonna raise up any further. Like, this is ridiculous. And then I get a knock on the door, and I'm like, what the hell? So I open the door, and water comes into the house. I'm like, oh my God. And it's this man. He's like a rescuer. And I look out, and there is a full boat, like almost like a speedboat type thing, in my front yard, 5 feet away from my front door. And I'm like, how is there a boat with an engine 5 feet away from me? What is happening? My house, apparently, like, here's the house, and it goes down like this. So this guy's here, water's coming in, but it's like that deep, like it's so deep. And I'm just like, oh my God. And he's like, we gotta get you out of here. And I was like, what? No, everything's fine. He was like, if you don't get out of here, we don't know how high this water's gonna go. You don't want to be one of those people stranded on your ceiling or roof. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to be one of those people on my roof. What do I do? So I was like, let me get some stuff, you know. So I pack up the diaper bags, diapers, you know, all kinds of kid stuff, because that's all I'm thinking about. And I get me like clothes. My husband's grabbing clothes, and I was like, we got to get the paperwork, you know, like birth certificates, social security cards, that kind of thing. And I was like, we got to get the stuff. And so I call my mom, and I'm like, Mom, we need to be rescued. We have to come to your house, you know. She's like, what? I was like, my house is flooding, you know. So she's like, okay, well, we'll meet you, you know. And so I thought that she was gonna like meet me at the front of the neighborhood. Like, I didn't know what was happening, okay. I was just like, I don't know what's going on, but somehow we're gonna get to your house, okay. And so by the time we get out there, I have like my backpack on, my husband's got diaper bags, and my daughter, because I didn't want them to like get in the dirty flood water, you know. So I've got my shoes on, and I had put my glasses on because I was afraid something was going to happen to my contacts. So it was just, it was awful. And I had my son on my hip, and they are having the time of their life. My kids, they're like, this is the greatest day ever. And then we climb into a boat. Like, we have to be pulled up into this boat. The water is so deep, okay? And then they just turn the little boat engine on and we drive on out of my neighborhood. And I'm just like, oh my God. So we get a little out of, like, we turn down the street and go up, and that's when you can see the road goes like from this to this. And then we're just at the stop sign, and there's a fire truck there, and a cop, the neighbor on the corner or whatever, he helps us out, and he's like, you're gonna be okay, you know. I think I just looked like I was in shock, like, I don't know what is happening, because that had never happened before. It doesn't happen in this area. It's like, what? So then we get put in this like rescue fire truck type thing, and we're driving to this junior high that's like at the front of the neighborhood. And so I called my mom and I was like, I don't know, we're going to the junior high. So they meet us at the junior high, and I get into my parents' truck, and I'm like, I don't have any toothpaste. I was like, I don't have any toothpaste, because I wasn't thinking about me or the kid, like brushing teeth. I was just like, important things, you know, kids, diapers, social security card, birth certificate, marriage certificate, that kind of thing, you know. So I wasn't really thinking. So then my mom took us to CVS, and we got toothpaste and toothbrushes and I don't know, like shampoo, that kind of stuff, because I just wasn't even thinking about it, you know. And then we go to my mom's house, and we just sit there, and I'm just like, what's happening at my house, you know, because I can't see anything. I don't know. Like, my mom only lives like up 2 miles away, but her house is more towards the main road, and mine is like all the way in the back. So even though my house flooded, it's not flooding at her house, you know. And we had to stay there for like 4 days, maybe. I think 4 days. And one of my friends, she lives in this neighborhood. She actually lives like up and over, so she wasn't near the flood, you know. And I was like, she's like, do you want me to see if I can go to your house or whatever? So she's like, yeah. And she's like, it's too flooded, I can't go back there. And I'm like, no. So like the next day she texted me, and she's like, look, one of the neighbors has a boat, and he is going to drive down that road, and I'll have him take pictures, and I'll send you the pictures. So I was like, okay. So I was just waiting all day. I'm like, when is this guy gonna get in his boat? Was he gonna go to the house, you know? And so he drove down there, and he took pictures, and by the time he took pictures, the water had receded down, but you could see where the water had been. And I was like, oh, water got into the house like a lot. I thought it was a lot at the time. Now thinking about it, we didn't have it as bad as a lot of other people did, you know. Like the people in the neighborhood behind us, that water went way past the roof. You couldn't even see the houses. Like, you saw nothing. It looked like a river, you know, or a lake or whatever. But it went up about 12 inches. It was like a foot, maybe 11 and a half, something like that. But it was right below the electrical plugs, you know, so none of the electrical wiring or anything got damaged, you know. But the carpet was ruined, and I had my car in the garage. My husband had his company vehicle, the company he used to work for. He had his company vehicle in the driveway, and it didn't get damaged. The water came up, but I guess his engine in his truck was so high it didn't get damaged. But I was like, the car is going to be destroyed. I mean, how can you drive a car that's been in water like that? The water did get into the car, but just at the entrance, like where the water or where the carpet is. So we had to get the carpet cleaned and stuff like that. But it worked. Nothing got damaged in the car. I was just like, oh, thank goodness. So the only thing that we had to do was, my husband, he had to cut out, like everybody else, they went with construction companies and stuff like that. But my husband's like, I don't know, you know, because we don't have flood insurance, because this is a non-flood area, so they don't even offer it, you know. But so we had to cut the drywall out. Normally like construction people, they take the whole section out, which is like 4 feet high, but it only went up a certain amount, so my husband just cut up above that certain amount, and then took out the insulation stuff, and he redid the installation and put more sheetrock, is that what it's called? Put more sheetrock, we put texture on it, and then I was like, well, time to paint the whole house, so I painted the whole house, and we had the floor redone, and we did pay to have that redone because our floor we had carpet, and so they didn't worry about leveling the floor. So we were like, we need to get some type of flooring that can handle water. It's water resistant. So we got like this fiberglass wood type stuff. So if it floods again, nothing will happen. The only thing that you need to do if it happens is unsnap it, let the concrete dry and then snap it back. So yes. But anyway, so like all the pictures got destroyed, like all my kitchen stuff got destroyed, all the Christmas decorations got destroyed, just like everything. We had to replace so much stuff. But anyway, so I think Trump was president then, and he declared it like a natural disaster type thing. So FEMA gave everybody money to help with repairs and stuff, and so we used that money, and we repaired our whole house, and that was like the greatest thing. A lot of other people, they had to redo their houses through contractors and stuff, so it cost them quadruple the amount that it cost us. That was just awful. But I'm trying to think what else happened during that hurricane. I don't know. It was crazy though. So like every year during hurricane season, which this paper says June 1st through June 30th, I'm always like, I always look at the weather anyway, but during the summer and fall, I'm like constantly like, what's going on here? Because like even my little app is like, here are the hurricanes, keep an eye on them, so I'm always like, what's going on here? I have like PTSD from the Harvey hurricane. Like, it's just awful. No one else in my family was affected, so that was good. And I thank God that my mom, had room for us to stay, and that she took us in and stuff. Like my husband, his parents, they live out in, the country or whatever, and they live like, there's a river that goes behind our neighborhood, not too far away, but the houses are raised up, so it isn't in a flood zone. But their house, that same river travels down here and goes like right next to their house. And their house, the ground isn't raised up, but when they built their house, they built their house up. So I don't know what that's called, but it's not a concrete foundation. It's like these posts, and then they build the house on top of the posts. You know what I mean? I don't know. Anyway, so every time it floods there, you can't go anywhere. The water goes all the way up to the front porch. It has never gone into the house. But the only reason that it flooded here, which pisses me off because it's such crap, but there is a lake like north of here, and there are lots of fancy pants lake houses, right? Well, when the hurricane happens, like something like rain or something, I don't remember it raining here, but it must have been raining over there. Something happens, and the lake will start overflowing. So to save the mega rich people who live on the lake from any reconstruction cost or house damage, they're like, hey, let's just release the floodgates from this lake to the river, and then the river will flood, but they do like this timed release thing, so that it can slowly release into the river and, down the stream or whatever. But during the Hurricane Harvey, it was so bad that the timed release wasn't doing anything, and these houses, the mega rich people's houses, were going to flood. And so they were like, you know what, just release them, full release of the gates, because screw everybody else, right? We want to save the rich people's houses. So all the poor people, not that I'm poor, but you know what I mean, all the commoners, they can deal with that. They can deal with the fallout of that. What kind of crap is that? That is not okay. That is not okay. Because the people at the lake, they've never flooded. They've never had to do any house repairs or apply for financial FEMA assistance. You know what I mean? Like, just makes me mad. But it was so intense, they had to just release the whole floodgates. And so people who are in non-flood areas, that water came so fast that it was just, it didn't have anywhere else to go. It couldn't go down the river path or whatever fast enough. So thousands and thousands of people who are in no flood zones got flooded. So, the rich people wouldn't have to worry about it. That's messed up. Anyway, so yeah, whenever hurricane season happens, I have this little, like, panicky guy on my shoulder, like, so I'm prepared. If it were to ever happen again, I'm prepared. We can handle it, so, but that's one good thing about having a 2-story house, is you can save a lot of things, just bring everything upstairs. But, think about more things than diapers and baby toys. Anyway, so yeah, I really hope that you enjoyed that. Yeah, let me know if you want to do more story time videos, and let me know what the story is, because I don't know, because I could just talk forever about anything. Anyway, I really hope that you enjoyed that. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon.